Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scoutsers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scoutser. Got the coffee here. What am I doing this morning? I'm the dad, the final word before mom. And with us, with a water or energy drink over there is Alex. Alex, what's happening?
Oh, nothing. Water this morning.
Water this morning. That's good, man. You got to lay off those energy drinks. And with us this morning is Kazi. I am counting on you to be the tea guy.
Not today. It's coffee day.
Bro.
Yeah, I know. Babies and stuff like that. I need a coffee this morning. Definitely.
You are Americanized, my friend.
I am.
Been here too long. Okay. So a bunch of headlines to get to. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow's game as well. Let's start this right off the bat with the press conference coming right before. Actually, Kazi is the one who kind of alerted this. And look who's writing the article. Our very own Adam Beatty is over there. So Diaz close. He's already practicing. Obviously, not in the equation for tomorrow. So we'll talk about Diaz a little bit later on. But this is the first time in a long time where he's talked about transfers and like being positive and them working on things and stuff like that. You never hear that from him, Kazi. Does that say we've already thrown in the towel in some ways? That's, I guess, the only part that I take of it as worrying.
I mean, I don't think we've thrown in the towel just yet. Ask me next week after these 3 games, and then I might have a different answer.
But based on that phrase, don't you kind of like take that as when this team, we're always about, nope, we just look at the next game, who we can put out there and stuff. From that, we're like, yeah, we're working a lot in the background, as you guys can imagine. This team is shit right now, kind of a deal. That's why I feel like, is that like a good message to send to the boys?
I think it's definitely a message that it's good. I think more than anything, more than the boys. I think the boys kind of know themselves. They're not daft that they've underperformed this season. And there's definitely players who are leaving, who are guaranteed to be leaving. I'm sure we'll get onto one of those players. But, I mean, I quite like the idea of when he first brought it up, he just went, well, there's nothing else to do. As if to say, well, I can't plan training sessions, there's nothing else to do, so I may as well crack on, basically, and work on that. So, extremely positive for us fans, because he never gives us anything like that. He is quite, next game and money focused on this season kind of thing. And I think he's kind of went, well, I've thrown in the towel with quite a few of these lads, and it's time to start this early kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, I'm sure they were always working on it in the background, but he never comes out and be like, yeah, that's what I was just working on in the back there, kind of a deal. So how do you take that, Alex, in terms of, I mean, obviously it's good to hear in some ways, but not like it wasn't happening before. He's just more confirming it this time.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it's kind of, when he said that, it's kind of telling about Edwards leaving when he did. You have all these guys in the recruiting that are leaving when they are. So it looks like the pieces are falling into place. So it's kind of like, hey, we need a new transfer model for us to compete. And, the current guys weren't on board with that. So now they're moving on to, who they think will be the next people to run the stuff in the background for Liverpool. So I think it's just good things to come.
Yeah, see, but does that signal, you're like Mr. Anti-FSG over there, Kazi. So does that really signal change in policy, or did they tell Edwards, dude, everybody's know you're scamming now, so we need somebody else in the room negotiating?
I think there's only so long you can be the cleverest guy in the room. When Liverpool come in for the football, you must go, well, he must be really good, because Liverpool don't come in for many. And when they sign one, what we would think's worth 30, well, if Liverpool want him, he must be worth 60. You know what I mean? Because they see something else in him. It always rings back to me with the Salah-Alisson situation. When we got Salah for 30 million, we go back a year later and Roma are like, hang on a second, this Alisson guy must be pretty good.
Yeah.
Because we got ripped off with Salah. So we're going
to must know something we don't.
Exactly. So when we sit down and around the table, we go, we got 100 million for Alisson and Salah. Well, that sounds a lot better than just getting 30 for Salah kind of thing. It does sound like that. I don't know if it's going to be a change in complete policy, what people are thinking. I think it's a bit more shrewd. I think with the Mason Mount situation developing and what you can, more free transfers and players getting, good players could be getting relegated this season, like the Ward-Prowse situation. And I think it's a go more back to that. than more than what we've been doing previously. So, I mean, I'm extremely positive for the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're walking out with like bags of money out of the meeting room and like ha 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 and like throwing them around. But at least it signals that they realize there has to be a certain number of improvements, investments, transfers made, and yeah, that might not be 300 million spent. But I think we have enough faith overall for them to, even if they go get a guy from Belgium for 25 or something like that, we're like, hey, they see something, like they've been watching this guy, they know something. I think they've kind of like earned that, right? Whenever they sign somebody, even if we don't know him, I have not watched them once, we automatically now think they must know something. They didn't just sign a dude. So I think that's a positive to take out of that. But you mentioned Mason Mount, so let's talk a little bit about that. So Mason Mount, 70 million. Alex, are you going for the 70 million over here?
I mean, if he's available, I would pull the trigger. I mean, because
for 70?
I mean,
because that's the main question. I think like I don't think anybody will be like, no, Mason Mount, I'll pass. But I guess like the key thing is Mason Mount for 70.
I think mainly, I think the biggest reason why maybe we're questioning the 70 is because of how he's been this year. He's been in and out of the squad, stuff like that. So maybe we're kind of rethinking the 70. But if you asked me 2 years ago, pay 70 million for Mason Mount, oh, definitely. And I still think he's worth 70. He's just not having the season that he would want this season, but we know he can produce. So I mean, I would pay the 70 million for him. Okay. I don't know what you think, but I would.
How about you, Kazi? I mean, is this kind of a scenario where if we're not able to get Bellingham, you guys are out of ribs, okay, then I'll take rib tips and order Mason Mount from the menu? Or what do you say about the 70?
Liverpool Football Club are not paying £70 million for Mason Mount. He's got 1 year left on his deal. People forget that as well. He is, listen, as an ability and a footballer, he's absolutely perfect for Liverpool. You couldn't handpick a better footballer to drop into our midfield. Now, he is English, which Liverpool do have a big issue with their foreign players right now, with our mix and match, especially with potentially Oxlade-Chamberlain leaving as well.
Potentially?
Well, James Milner also potentially leaving. You know what I mean? I've got to say potentially still. Especially with Milner, I can say potentially, I suppose. But Mason Mount, I would say Liverpool will probably go to about 40 million. And I think there's another thing about this. The amount is an issue, yes, but if you sign a player for 10 years to play in your midfield, which Mason Mount could potentially do, that's why they are, going back to the Bellingham thing of 120, you're not signing a player for 120, you're signing your midfield to be sold for 15 years. That's what you're, potentially signing. I want to sign you for 15 years. I don't want to sign you for 3 or 4 years for the 150. So Mason Mount could probably play 10 years, 8 to 10 years at Liverpool, but it's only going to be 40 million quid. And everyone knows the position that Chelsea are going to be in the summer, where they have to sell players like Lukaku, Timo Werner, these kind of lads as well, who were out on loan. People just forgot about, by the way. People have just completely forgot that Timo Werner plays for Chelsea still. Like, everyone just kind of forgot. Like, a player that Liverpool were desperate for 3 years ago, literally desperate for. And he's just on loan and still at Chelsea, and everyone's forgot about him.
Because he looks more back home. Right, when you watch him, right? Like you're just like, oh, it's good to be home, kind of a thing when you watch Werner right now.
Yeah, I genuinely think Graham Potter in the summer's going to come back and go, who's this lad here? Oh, he's still got Lukaku.
Who brought the German in here?
Yeah, like Lukaku's come back and he's £240. Like, what? What have I got to do here? Like, what's going on? So, no, but I think Liverpool will sign Mason Mount. It's going to be about 40 million quid, and it's going to be probably our best piece of business in the summer, in my opinion.
You think Chelsea will sell him to us for 40 to us especially?
I mean, I do, and the only reason why I'd say that is because I think they've looked at the City and the Everton thing with financial fair play, and they've went, hey, we can't really be choosy right now in the summer. We've got to get because the eyes are on Chelsea right now with the figures that they're spending. True. Everything is looking at Chelsea to say, hey, what are you going to do in the summer? Again, with Lukaku and Werner, they're going to earn good money with the Mount deal and probably Kai Havertz, Aubameyang, maybe. They have to get these outgoings in. So I don't think they can kind of be beggars, be choosers kind of thing. So I do think there is one there for Liverpool where they can kind of sneak in and get it.
That's fair. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, I'm all for it. I just hope it is not just a backup plan. Because I mean, yeah, you add Mount and Bellingham. Because here's the thing: he's not going to get more money from outside the Premier League, basically because you said, like you said, he's English, so that premium exists within the Premier League. Like no, like Bundesliga guy is gonna care that he's English. But I think yeah, you get Mount and Bellingham into that midfield. I don't think then you have to go sign 4 or 5 midfielders like everybody wants. You can get some small pieces and kind of like settle with that, or be okay with having Hando and Milner and stuff there still coming in and being now your third, fourth, fifth midfielder. So it would be exciting to see. I'm all for it. Like I say, he kind of like checks a lot of boxes for us, I think, but we will see what happens with that. So then we kind of talked about this one on Wednesday a little bit, but I want to get your guys' take on this. So Alex, let's start with this. Premier League is going to block owners guilty of human rights abuses under new rules. Like nice little blanket statements where they're like, so like, what do you make of that? I don't know. Maybe it's my age or because I'm a cynical bastard, but I just see that. I just laugh. Like, yeah. Okay.
I mean, it would have been better if it was like, I don't know, a year or two ago when we decided to do it. But now it's like, I mean, it's a little late to be bringing it in. I mean, it's a step in the right direction, sure, but I feel like it's came a year too late. I mean, we need it's been crying out for a long time that criminals should not be owning football clubs, and that's just fact. And why it took till 2023 for it to finally come in, who knows? But I think it's too late. I think it's just good PR for the Premier League. About it.
I think it's just them. I mean, to me, it always resembles like a drug lord. Like everybody knows the dude is dealing drugs, but he doesn't handle it, so we can never catch him, kind of thing. I mean, I feel, Kazi, it's going to be the same thing. For example, you can't come and tell me I can't own a club because I'm Turkish, and like Turkey is putting journalists in prison or whatever. So if a guy is Saudi and he's a prince, I mean, we were talking about this on Wednesday. I'm like, hey, son, I'm going to send you to the Netherlands for 2 years. Okay, in 2 years, you're going to buy this club. And you're the black sheep of the family, don't forget. How are they going to tell the guy, no, man, you're from Saudi Arabia and they have human rights violations? I just feel like they just threw this out there. It sounds so, Disney. Oh, look, they're so nice and humane now. But I just feel like it's so bullshit because it can't be enforced.
Exactly. It's the most blasé statement of all time. Like, if you got human, what do you mean? What does that even mean? I don't understand what they're trying to say. First of all, going on Alex's point, it's about 10 years too late, 15 years too late. Football club should be a protected entity anyway. But going off what they're saying, like, so you come from a country who's got human rights issues. How do you police this? How do you actually do your background checks? Like, I don't understand. So is everyone from Saudi Arabia, like a guy who wins the lottery, can't own a football club because his country commits other atrocities?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. How does this even get policed? It's the most ridiculous, stupid comment of all time. It's a bit like the financial fair play thing. It's a bit like, yes, we're going to charge City, but it's going to take 15 years for us to get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same kind of thing. So, for example, if you're Newcastle right now and they've made this statement, they'll go, okay, we're just going to tie you in knots for 15, 20 years. And then before you tell us to win sell the club, if that's going to come down that point. But we've already won 8 Champions Leagues by then. So we're cool. Do you know what I mean? So it's just very blasé. It makes no sense. Typical Premier League. Which way's the wind blowing? Okay, we're going to run to the front and go, guys, follow me. Like, because everyone was leading that way anyway. Like,
and Alex, I mean, obviously not every rich person is a criminal. I understand that part of it, but it's coming to a point where it's almost impossible to afford a Premier League team anyway. So, I mean, these are not, I mean, when I say these, like, like pretty much countries are the only people who can afford to buy Premier League teams now. So does this affect in any way, for example, though, when, I don't know, somebody's looking into United, like the Qatari guys looking into United and stuff like that. Does that affect it where they're like, well, let's wait and see what happens first? Or they're like kind of laughing at the statement like we are?
No, because it didn't affect the World Cup. So, I mean, if it's not affecting the World Cup, then it won't do anything. It'd just be clickbait for somebody on the Guardian or whatever newspaper you look at, and that's basically what it's just going to be.
What do you think, Gazi?
My opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's get it right. These countries, in any country, by the way, have never been told no.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's got a price, including the Premier League, by the way. Everyone has a price. You just got to find it. So, no, it's the most pathetic, useless statement of all time. This league is an embarrassment for certain players in the league who are still playing in the Premier League, by the way. And we all know a player we're not going to name who's currently contributing to a Premier League when he shouldn't be playing football. And so let's get our house in order first before you look at other people on the outside trying to come in and buy football clubs. Do I believe countries should be owning football clubs? No. Do I believe that it's 10, 15 years too late? Yes. So the ship sailed. There's nothing you can do anymore. So,
and I mean, here's the thing. And obviously there are different levels of this, but I mean, which country is going to say, are you telling me there is no human rights violations in the UK?
No.
I mean, you're from UK, Kazi. Are you telling me it's like utopia over there? So how are you going? I mean, we're doing it too, but you guys are taking it to another level over there. So you can't own a club. I mean, that's the part that I don't understand. Nobody can call. I mean, US goes around. I mean, don't not want to get political with this, but like we could, other countries get criticized by the US media and stuff like that. I mean, we live in this country. We know how bad racism is and like what goes with it and stuff like that. So nobody's squeaky clean to be able to tell another one, hey, like you can't own a club. And like I say, I don't know how you're going to prove that. It's just like when I saw the headline, I laughed, and I would assume the Qatari prince is laughing as well, as he's like sitting on a bed of money or something like that. It's just not feasible to me. But okay, speaking of clickbaits and silly things, at least to me, let's talk about this Hall of Fame in soccer. Oh, I definitely don't want to see my big face. Let's see this right here. So, Alex, do you put any thoughts, time, or anything in the Hall of Fame? I find it to be like a silly concept, but where are you at with this Hall of Fame? Because it's more, to me, it's more American. I honestly, growing up, I didn't even know. I don't know how long they've had this, to be honest, but I can look it up. But Hall of Fame concepts I was introduced to when I came here.
Like are you talking about sports in general, or are you talking about the Premier League?
Let's start with the Premier League, but I'm assuming it's going to somehow tie with sports in general, especially in this country.
Right. I mean, in American sports, Hall of Fame has been around for decades, especially like a sport like baseball. That's been around for almost a century, the Hall of Fame. I think outside, I'm American through and through. So to me, it's not silly, but to you guys that might not be accustomed to it, it just seems a bit weird. I think it's going to need time before people really get into it. I mean, look, if you look at that list right there, that's a really good list. I think I was kind of surprised that, who was it? That Yaya Toure was on this ballot, because he's kind of, for the most part, he's a recent player, but I think it's a good ballot. I mean, we watched Hall of Fame selection over here in the U.S. is big in every sport every year. They always have a big ceremony. For the most part, it's like televised. It's it's big for a lot of those players, and it's their last time some of these guys will ever be recognized in the sport, for their entire lives. So it's a big thing over in the U.S., and I hope it is a big thing over in the Premier League eventually.
So is this started 2021? Am I seeing this right, by the way?
Yeah.
It's only like a 2-3-year-old thing.
Yeah.
I guess this is what I don't like about it, because to me, it's just something that the media can talk over and people can argue over. And I think it's as pointless as comparing Maradona to Messi and, like trying to compare different eras, different positions and stuff like that. And really situations too. I mean, put Tony Adams as a center back for us right now, you're in deep shit. But back in the day for Arsenal, he was the man. So I just remember him holding his back like this, waiting for corner kicks. So I mean, it's that's the part that I find like kind of silly. I feel like it's a conversation just to have a conversation, and a lot of players get screwed out of it, most for like political reasons or who's voting on it and stuff like that, who are great but somehow don't get recognized. I guess that's why I'm not a fan of it. But how about you, Kazi?
No, it's a load of garbage, Just gives the Premier League a chance just to have the Premier League name on, having a big night out and get a few old players and try and get a couple of snippets and a little couple of things that they can report to the media, and it's just a big blasé of a big rich meal. Spend about £1 million on it, and then that's about it, isn't it? I mean, you don't need to be in a Hall of Fame to prove that you're a good player or not. I understand the American concept and I completely get it, but even the Basketball Hall of Fame's a bit of a joke, really. There's like 20 players that go in it every year. I know the NFL Hall of Fame's a bit more elite, which I understand completely. But in terms of the Premier League, I mean, come on, really? Again, it's just an excuse of like, you played in the Premier League and it's our league and it's the best league in the world, and it's this kind of thing about it. But I don't think anyone's going to be losing any sleep if they go in the Premier League or not.
And to be fair, at the time, I don't know if it was the best. Like some of the players we're talking about, because that's we had an era where Serie A was what Premier League is now, where everybody would go to and stuff like that. And really, the Premier League soccer was kind of get past the midfield and cross the ball into the box and have your big number 9 do something with it. It was basically British soccer for a long, long time. Let's face it. I mean, it's gotten a lot more technical ever since they spent the money and brought all these players in, and now it's kind of like way above everybody else. But I mean, so let's go back to you're the defender over here as the American over here, Alex. I mean, I guess, okay, like for example, baseball one, which is a sport, I find it a joke, but it's Hall of Fame, I find an even bigger joke. That's, are they talking amongst themselves so that nobody is unanimous? There's always one bozo who says, nope, he's not Hall of Fame worthy, which, to me, that by itself eliminates the entire like legitimacy of the voting. But like Kazi is saying, like the NFL one, and I understand what you're saying in terms of being special for the player to put the jackets and make the speech and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like you're screwing over a lot of guys that were really, really, really good players and maybe just as good, because you have to pick one. And it's almost like picking like one number 9, and then that's it. You can't pick the other one now for like another couple of years or whatever. And I feel like that kind of takes away that guy's achievements. And so to gift one guy, are you screwing over 10 guys?
I mean, it's a little bit different with the Hall of Fame over here. Like, you have to wait a long time before you can get on your first ballot.
Is it 5 years you have to be out of the sport or something?
NFL's like 7.
Oh, okay.
And baseball is around 7. I want to say it's 5, but I think it's actually 7 as well. It's a while. They have to wait a long time. And I guess the more like the more what sounds probably more ridiculous to you guys is most of the Hall of Fame ones, writers actually determine who gets in the Hall of Fame. And that, I guess, for like when it comes to soccer, that'd be a little bit ridiculous. I mean, there's been writers that have been accused for being biased towards players in the past for not saying, hey, they should be first ballot Hall of Fame, all that stuff. So yeah, it can get very egocentric for these writers, especially when this time of the year comes. So I mean,
it makes it a lot more that's what I meant by political. I think you have to, and then it almost forces the writers, for the players, to be nice to writers or something. So like, hey man, in 10 years I got you by the balls, I'm gonna be voting on you. You better give me this interview, kind of a thing. So it's just like, I don't know. I think that's the part that's I'm not big on. I realize you can't have the fans vote, because then they will vote Messi in every year or something, even though he's not on the ballot. But it's that's why I'm not like big on the concepts. And I guess for a while I was like, I didn't even realize it was only 2 years old, because I guess I haven't paid attention to it in 2 years either. But
by the way, I'm a big fan of the Liverpool fans. When Lucas Leiva was at Lazio, and Lucas Leiva won Player of the Year every year, because they put the vote out on Twitter, and Liverpool fans just voted for Lucas Leiva. Never watched him play for Lazio, but just voted for Lucas Leiva. I think he won like 2 or 3 on the bounce. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think you see it over here with like the All-Star games and stuff like that. You definitely don't want fans voting, because I mean, it's like who can make the best bot is more contest than anything else than like actually people voting. Okay, so let's get to tomorrow real quick. Crack of dawn. It's even worse for you because you're on the West Coast over there. You're like only an hour ahead. You're in Vegas now, right? Well, you're in Nevada.
Yeah, I'm in Nevada, so I'm still on the West Coast Pacific time, yeah. So it's quite apt, really, that the game's on April Fool's Day, innit? Got to go watch these 11 lads try and kick a ball around. It's quite apt, really.
So what do you expect to see tomorrow in terms of lineup, first of all? Especially, I guess, like, we kind of know the back four. I think midfield is kind of filling itself, it feels like. I'm assuming Fab, Hando, and Elliott just because, they're rested. What do you do with the front three is probably the biggest question now.
I mean, he said Darwin's fit. So Darwin did get a cut on the foot against Madrid, which is the reason why he got took off. He did say that today. So you got to go. I would start Bobby personally. I know Jurgen has a thing of starting players who've been there over the international break for the first game back. That has been his thing. So I know we've had a lot of players back, really. I know Cody came back early because he had food poisoning and stuff. But so I don't know whether he's going to go or not. So I think he will do Darwin. I think he does Bobby and then probably Salah, which is what I would go for. The reason why I probably wouldn't do Cody, he has played quite a bit of football. And with the food poisoning, again, I don't know how bad that is and what it's done to him. So I think he does go with that. With your midfield, I find that interesting, really. He did say Thiago was fittish today. He said he's in a lot better moment, which to Jurgen, that usually means he's got about 3 weeks left sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. When he's fit, he's like, he's out there. Like I saw him this morning. Like
there's nothing better when Jurgen Klopp in a press conference goes, "Oh, this player's not in a cool moment," and you're like, "Oh, he's out for 6 months. He's out for 6 months. Yeah, he's not cool. Okay, 6 months. Thanks, Jurgen." But I
like how he says, like, sometimes he's like, yeah, he's out there. Like, I saw him. I talked to him at breakfast. Like, we shared a bagel. Like,
today he said, "Oh, Diaz, he's played part in some team training." And you're like, some? What are you doing? I see him
basically just passing. Like, he played the ball boy as they were doing the shooting drill, or
just literally giving the lads the bottles of water, still with like an ankle bracelet on. Like, still like a big shoe. But
meanwhile, Keita is injured, so it's not a headline or news, so I didn't even bring it up.
He's injured. Do you know what? Right, genuinely, I know we'll go back to it. Right? How many games we got left this season? I cannot 10. I've got 10 games until this lad is out of my life. I don't think
Klopp would say he got a knock at the national game. Probably is what it is. Yeah, I just saw the headline this morning that he is like, but like I said, I didn't even bring it to the show because I was like, I mean, we could use that headline any given. I'll save it for a day where we don't have topics because I'm sure he'll still be there. That Keita is hurt, so I'll save it for that. But how about you, Alex? What do you expect to see in terms of lineup?
I think I agree with it, but I think Gakpo. I think Gakpo will start. And the big news is I just saw an update that they said that Haaland's going to be a doubt and Foden is not gonna be there tomorrow. So those are two key players for City not gonna be there.
I mean,
they're all coming from the night. I mean, most of their guys went and played for their national teams. So you would think, but they do as well. They don't have a great record. I don't think of like morning games. They always look rusty, but nobody looks as rusty as we do in the early games, unfortunately. So, well, I mean, let's do some predictions over here then. What do you expect to see game-wise and score-wise, Kazi?
Don't know. I don't know what I want anymore.
That's what makes Liverpool so much fun this year, because you have no idea what's going to happen.
It's so nice to go into a City game like not like wanting to cry my eyes out and not like have my stomach in knots for 2 weeks before the game. It's just nice just to go in and go, we'll take a draw. Yeah, draws sounds okay. Like, that sounds okay. I mean, it's a huge game of football for Liverpool. On the serious note, it's a massive game of football, just in terms because we need points. And it's not about the play. Listen, because we've been playing Bournemouth this weekend, or we could have playing Southampton. It's still be a massive game of football because Liverpool need the points.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm kind of taking this, and I think Jurgen mentioned it in his conference, that it feels like a Champions League week. And he's so excited for the week. He said that. He said because you are playing three humongous sides in the space of a week, I'd take a draw right now. I probably assume we get beat, but I would take a draw. I'm going to remain confident and say 1-1, but you know, who fuck knows. It could be 4-0 out inside 30 minutes, and we all go back to bed. So who knows?
Jesus, let's hope not. Damn it, go to bed early. Alex, how about you?
I'm with him on the 1-1 draw. I think it's just gonna be I don't know. I think it's just gonna be a cagey affair. I'm really looking forward to the matchup with Rodri and Robertson, because Rodri had some stuff to say about the Scottish team midweek, which will play. It'll be interesting watching those two, especially we know how Robertson can be. So I think it'll be an interesting game. I think it'll be 1-1 too. I don't know at this point either. And it's funny because I don't know if you remember the conversation we had a couple weeks ago before the Bournemouth game, how we talked about how it was important to get the 3 points from the Bournemouth game. Now we have to look at these games as like must win. So who knows?
I think this is the week that makes or breaks your year, right? I mean, you gotta get, at the minimum, out of these 3 games, at the minimum, you gotta get 5 points. And ideally 6 or 7. And then you can, the problem is, this is not a team where you can be like, hey, we get 6 points from these 3 games, and then we'll knock the hell out of Southampton. You don't know, because God knows. And then you can get, I mean, I would not be shocked if we get 9 points from these 3 games and then lose to Southampton or something like that, because, that's something that Liverpool would do, unfortunately. But I'm expecting like a really sloppy game from both sides. So it's going to be a matter of who can finish. If we're in a finishing mode, I was going with 2-2, but we would have to be in a good finishing mode, I think, to squeak at like a 3-2 or something like that.
Liverpool to win 2-2, fella. We've got to have 2 shots on target first for Liverpool to win 2-2. Unless there's an own goal in there somewhere, and we still have 1.
And that's the thing. You need a game. Like, that's the weird part this year. Like, we've had these games where anything we touch, we could just kick it in our own box, and it ended up being a goal on the other side. Like the Bournemouth game, the United game. And then we've had games where, like, oh my God, somebody put it in the freaking nets. Like, what are we doing, kind of a deal. So it really depends on which Liverpool we get. I am big on Bobby starting just because of that press. And it's a team that once they get past that initial press, they can really hurt you. I don't care if Foden is out there, Haaland is out there, whoever, but they're going to have Mahrez out there and stuff like that. So, I mean, they're going to have players who can hurt you. So you want to make sure they don't come out of that press. This is the kind of game that you miss a guy like Mane and stuff like that old trio who could press them up top. I think Nunez can. It's just like, I feel like sometimes he loses his positioning. Like I'm afraid he's going to be on the right-hand side suddenly, because he kind of almost loses control running like an animal and then wide open on the other side. That's probably my biggest concern going into it. Yeah. I would almost be more comfortable. I know not scoring-wise or attacking-wise, this is a good game I feel like, for like a player like Jota in terms of his like pressing. So I don't know. I mean, if you're not confident in Bobby in terms of like his lung or like how many minutes he can give you, maybe you put Jota in there just to initiate that press and work hard defensively. But because I'm assuming Diaz we're not going to see until after the Arsenal game at best it would be my guess. Like, so basically like 2 weeks from now, you might be able to see him out there. But okay, so you're going with 1-1, but a possible going to bed early scenario. You're going with 1-1, and but it could be worse. I'm going with 2-2. It's pretty bad because usually, it's going to be like, how good are we going to win? But everybody seems like so. Okay, out of these next 3 games, how many points, Kazi, you think we need to get realistically to still be in the chase for the top 4?
I think you need 5. I think it's target Arsenal home. I think you can beat anyone at home. Liverpool's home record is really good. Whether people want to, slate them or not, our home record's really good. I do think Chelsea are absolutely garbage. The hardest thing for Chelsea is you haven't got no idea who they're going to start. So,
And we play them in 3 days. I guess that's my biggest concern. If we were playing Chelsea tomorrow, I'd be a lot more confident about a win than, because I don't know who's going to play midfield on Tuesday, because you're not going to trot out Henderson and Fabinho again and expect the same performance.
Yeah, I think 5 is about right. And I know what you're saying with the midfield. By the way, I was a big fan of Kante, just come back to training just in time for Liverpool, like he always does.
Yes.
I always feel
What's up with that? Yeah.
like N'Golo Kante just goes over to Liverpool and just wakes up from a coma, like, oh, Liverpool coming up. I bet
He's like, wake me up when we play Liverpool.
oh no, yeah. So I can just absolutely run all over their midfield, then go back in a coma. By the way, I was a big fan of Tim before, just mentioning I wish we had Mane and stuff, just so we had lads who could run, because our players can't run anymore. I was a big fan of that. Wouldn't it be nice to have players who can run? Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I'll take 5 now if you'd offer me 5. But I think if I offered you 5 right now, Tim, which one would you rather beat?
Good one.
I would say City.
I can't stand Arteta, but I mean, because I don't see Chelsea as much of a competition for the top 4. So this is kind of like a pick here. But I think because I'm not a huge fan and it's at home, I think I'd rather beat Arteta at home.
Is that the same for you, Alex?
I said City.
City?
Mhm.
Nice. Do you want Arsenal to win the league? Arteta to win? Aaron Ramsdale?
See, that's what even saying it's just like ew. Like,
I mean,
I hate most of them. I like about 2 players in that team. I hate them all.
But let's be honest, though, if they do win, they deserve it. I mean, they've
course.
been very good this year, and they were definitely a surprise for everybody, including Arsenal fans. So, it'd be great to beat City. I would love to beat City, because if we beat City twice this year, that would look amazing. And then we beat United, and if Everton get relegated, that'd be great. I'd love it.
I'd sacrifice a lot of Champions League trophies for Everton to get relegated, Like, you don't understand the week off I am booking if Everton get relegated.
That's why Kazi is a specimen over here, because we get a lot of people commenting. It's like, you guys just don't get the City. Liverpool fans don't want Everton to be relegated. I'm like, really? Because I see a lot of them, and we know a lot of them, and you're probably like the biggest one.
I would sacrifice a testicle to get Everton relegated. Like,
well, okay, but this is going to be a clip for one, and then I'm going to need you to follow up on this if they do get relegated.
Go live stream in May, just me in like a white coat on a doctor's lap.
I want the surgery live stream.
I asked for this. Thank you, Tom Davis. Thank you.
Instead of like a white covers, I want like Everton flags laid on top of you, like just like doing the surgery.
Just a picture of Sean Dyche next to me. Thanks for this.
Oh, okay, gentlemen. Let's hope for a good morning tomorrow morning. We will be back Monday morning, hopefully talking about a victory with the Polish Prince over here. And then by Monday, everything will be finalized. So hopefully all the links and stuff like that for the fundraiser is going to be announced on Monday as well. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting that going finally. Kind of a lot of work putting it together. A lot of people contributing, which has been extremely nice to see, and we're very grateful. So we'll get more information on that, and hopefully we'll be in a cheery mood because we'll be talking about a Liverpool win. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, and thanks to all those listening, sharing, liking, and all that good stuff. See you guys Monday. Take care.